In Level 1, we will be simplifying square roots and cube roots of numbers. To do this, we will make a factor tree. When you take the square root of a number, you're looking for pairs of numbers that are multiplied together. If you have a pair of numbers, they can come out. For example, I can take the square root of a perfect square like 9 because a 9 is two threes multiplied together. So when you have a pair, that number can come out. The square root of 9 is just 3. So we make a factor tree for 60. 60 is 2 times 30, which is 2 times 15, which is 3 times 5. Now any number that, so I'm only looking at my prime numbers, which are the 2, the 2, the 3, and the 5. I don't care about the rest of the numbers. And any pairs can come out of the radical. I do have a pair of 2's, which means I can take 1 2 out and put it in the front. And then the 3 and the 5 will both have to stay inside because they don't have a pair. So I multiply them back together and we get 2 radical 15. Okay, for the next one, you always want to be conscious of perfect squares. 225 is actually a perfect square. It's 15 times 15, and if you recognize that or plug it in your calculator, it saves you a lot of work. The square root of 225 is just 15 because it is 15 squared, or 15 times 15. So I just do negative 3 times 15 and we get negative 45. Now whenever you have the square root of a negative number, like in number 3, this is no solution or not a real number. You're never allowed to take the square root of a negative number. Now a cube root, whenever you have a little 3 in front of the radical, now we're looking for triplets. So I make a factor tree the same way I did before. 24 is 4 times 6, which is 2 times 2, and 3 times 2. And I look at my prime numbers, and I'm now looking for a group of 3, and I do have 3 2's. So I can take out 1 2 to the front, and then that 3, which didn't have triplets, has to stay inside. And now we weren't allowed to take the square root of a negative number, but you can take the cube root of a negative number. The reason we can't take the square root of a negative number is because there's no number squared that will give you a negative number. Like, for example, negative 6 squared is positive 36. There's no number I can square to get a negative, but I can take a negative to the third power and get a negative number. So you are allowed to take the cube root of a negative number. So this is going to be a real number. And you can just take the negative out to the front, and then you're going to do your factor tree for 54. So 54 is 6 times 9, which is 2 times 3, and 3 times 3. And we look at our prime numbers, and we do have a group of 3 3's, which means we can take out a 3. Again, we brought that negative out front, so we get negative 3 cube root of 2. The 2 stays inside.